All right, Mr. Ahmed here for 4.3, which is rotations. And a rotation is a transformation that turns every point of a pre-image through a specified angle and direction around the fixed point. For us, in this chapter, all of our rotations are going to be counterclockwise about the origin. So these are easy, yet they're kind of not. All right, so there's a couple ways we can do it. The first way is by using our rotation rules. If it's a 90-degree rotation counterclockwise, that goes this way, counterclockwise to the left, our ordered pairs x, y will be mapped to negative y, x. All right, kind of hard to remember that, not gonna lie. 270, our ordered pair x, y, will be mapped to y, negative x. Yet again, kind of hard to remember. And 180, xy is mapped to negative x, negative y. That one's probably the easiest one. So what we have to do if we have to use the mapping technique, and with your Chromebooks, this might be about the only way to do it, is we're gonna have to write down the ordered pairs. So I have an S, a B, and a, I don't know, I'm gonna call that an I. So point S is at 2, 2. B is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So B is at 4, 5. And we'll call this I. I'm really not sure what that letter is. I'm going with I. I is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. So using our rule, since this one's going 90 degrees, XY has to be mapped to negative Y, X. Now you could use your notes for this, so that makes it a little bit easier. So what do I have to do this? I have to change this to where my point Y needs to become my X point. So I gotta move it over to here and make it negative. So my 2 is gonna become a negative 2. And this one, X, is just switched to be a positive 2 still. Now my next one. All right, I have to become with a negative y, so it's be a negative 5. And then x is just swapped over to be a 4. And then lastly, my 0 can only be 0. Switch that over. And then my x flops over to be 5. So I would plot those points, all right? And then that's gonna be my rotation. Another way in which I could do it is I could take my piece of paper and rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise and write down my new ordered pairs. As we kind of look at this, I have the point 0, 5. This was my I prime. I have the point negative 2, 2. There's my S prime, okay? Then I also have the point 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5, 4, that was my B prime. So I can just rotate the paper and write down the new points and then rotate it back to plot them. So I'm gonna plot my points. S prime is at negative 2, 2, so negative 2, 2. S prime, B prime is at negative 5, 4. There's B prime. S prime and I prime is at 0, 5, straight up. I prime. And there is my image. Okay, so you can use the mapping rules and plot the points, or you can rotate maybe you can rotate your whole Chromebook to write down where they're at. All right, so I'm gonna go with the mapping method, just based off the fact that I can't physically watch you guys rotate your papers, but I'll show you how this one would work. It says 180 degrees. So for me to go 180 degrees, I'd have to go 90 to the left, then all the way upside down gets me to 180. And then I could write down where these 3 points are, J prime, H prime, Q prime. Then I would have to rotate my paper back and plot those new ordered pairs. So I'm still gonna do this using our mapping method. It's a 180 degree rotation, which is probably the easiest one. And x comma y is mapped to negative x, negative y. So I got to write down my points. Q is at 0, negative 1. That's Q. J is at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, negative 5, negative 3. There's J. And H, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 3, negative 5. All right, so now I got to map them to their new points using our rule. So we just have to switch the sign on this one. 0 is still going to be a 0. So 0, comma, positive 1. That's Q prime. J prime would be at 5, 3. And H prime is going to be at 3, 5. So then I plot my new points. So 0, 1. Okay. 5, 3. Q prime 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. There's J prime. And lastly, we have the point H prime at 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. H prime. And there's our new image based off of that pre-image. And we have rotated it. So if I kind of look back here, if I were to rotate my paper 180 degrees, this black image should lie in that same quadrant that the orange one's in. So if I turn it upside down, we can see how that black one's right where that orange one was. So that is our method. This next one says we're going to go 90 degrees clockwise. Now, we said all of our rotations are counterclockwise. So the same thing as 90 degrees clockwise would be 270 counterclockwise. So we have to use the 270 degree counterclockwise rule. All right, now this time I am going to just show you how I could do this based off the rotation. All right, so I'm going to rotate my paper 270 degrees counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3. There's 270 degrees counterclockwise. Now I'm going to write down my new points. All right, now I'm going to try and write them as neatly as I can, but they're going to be a little bit sideways. So H prime is at negative 2, 1. M prime is at negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, B prime's at 1, 5. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. And then F prime would be at 1, 2, 3, 1. All right, so I wrote down all my new ordered pairs, okay? Now I have to rotate my paper back to the original direction, and I need to plot those points. So H prime's at negative 2, 1. H prime. M prime's at negative 2, 4. B prime is at 1, 5. And F prime's at 3, 1. And I would connect my shape. And that is the rotation. Now, I am going to show you how those points lined up based off using the rules. So, for the 270 degree counterclockwise rotation, XY is mapped to Y negative X. Okay, so that's how that's going to change. So we'd have to write down all of our original ordered pairs. Let's start with H. H was at negative 1, negative 2. And let's see how that's mapped. So I have to flip the Y back, so that would be negative 2. Bring the X over and switch the sign to be 1. So was our H prime negative 2, 1? Yes, indeed it was. H prime was negative 2, 1. Okay. The next one I'm going to do is M. M is located at 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 2. All right, following the rule, I have to bring the Y over, so that would turn into a negative 2. X and switch the sign, negative 4. Let's see, is M at negative 2, 4? M prime. Negative 2, 4, yes it is. It is indeed at negative 2, 4. Okay, so our rule will map the paper rotation. The paper rotation works pretty handy if you can rotate it. I don't know how well rotating your Chromebook's gonna work, but that is an option that you have. So B, that point was at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5, 1. When we map that, y comes over, that'd be 1, comma 5. Have to switch the sign, which is exactly where our B prime was at. And lastly, we had F. F was located at negative 1, 1, 2, 3. And then if I map F, that would become 3, 1. And that's F prime. We had B prime, and F was located right at 3, 1. So if you want to rotate your paper, that's probably the easiest way. But if you have the inability to rotate, you can still use the mapping methods as described. And obviously you don't have to memorize those. You have access to your notes. That's all we got for today. Have a good one.